Auction off. Meaning, to sell something to the highest bidder. Example, they decided to auction off the antique furniture. Example, the charity decided to auction off donated artworks. Back off. Meaning, to move away or retreat. Example, the aggressive driver finally backed off. Example, you need to back off and give him some space. Be off. Meaning, to leave or depart. Example, I'll be off in a few minutes, just finishing up some tasks. Example, they decided to be off early to avoid traffic. Blast off. Meaning, to launch into space, usually referring to a rocket. Example, the rocket is scheduled to blast off at dawn. Example, the countdown began, and the spacecraft prepared to blast off. Block off. Meaning, to close or obstruct an area. Example, the construction crew had to block off the street during repairs. Example, please block off the damaged section of the building for safety. Blow off. Meaning, to release or dismiss pressure, steam, or gas. Example, the pressure valve will automatically blow off if it reaches a dangerous level. Example, the old radiator tended to blow off steam unexpectedly. Bog off. Meaning, a colloquial expression meaning go away or leave. Example, if you don't like it here, you can just bog off. Example, he told his annoying neighbor to bog off after numerous disturbances. Bounce off. Meaning, to rebound or deflect from a surface. Example, the ball bounced off the wall and rolled into the corner. Example, his idea seemed to bounce off the team without much interest. Break off. Meaning, to end or terminate suddenly. Example, the negotiations broke off due to irreconcilable differences. Example, the conversation broke off when they realized they were running late. Bring off. Meaning, to successfully accomplish something difficult. Example, she managed to bring off the challenging project ahead of schedule. Example, the team worked together to bring off a successful product launch. Brush off. Meaning, to dismiss or ignore someone or something. Example, he tried to offer assistance, but she brushed him off. Example, don't just brush off the constructive feedback, consider it for improvement. Bug off. meaning, an informal way of telling someone to leave or go away. Example, when he continued bothering her, she finally said, "Bug off." Example, the annoyed customer told the persistent salesperson to bug off. Bump off, meaning, to murder or eliminate someone. Example, the crime novel features a plot to bump off the main character's rival. Example, the detective is determined to catch the criminal planning to bump off the witness. Bundle off, meaning, to send or dispatch someone quickly. Example, they decided to bundle off the urgent documents for overnight delivery. Example, the parents bundled off their kids to the grandparents for the weekend. Bunk off, meaning, to skip school or work without permission. Example, the students plan to bunk off and spend the day at the beach. Example, he decided to bunk off work for a spontaneous road trip. Burn off, meaning, to eliminate through burning, exercise, or evaporation. Example, the chef suggested a workout routine to burn off the excess calories. Example, the heat from the sun will eventually burn off the morning dew. Buy off, meaning, to pay someone to stop doing something or change their behavior. Example, the corrupt officials were willing to buy off the investigators. Example, it's not ethical to try and buy off the opposition with bribes. Buzz off, meaning, to leave or go away. Example, when the unwanted guest wouldn't leave, she finally said, "Buzz off." Example, if you're not here to help, then you can just buzz off. Buzz off, meaning, an informal way of telling someone to go away or leave. Example, after their argument, she angrily told him to buzz off. Example, the annoyed customer shouted at the persistent salesperson, saying, "Buzz off." Call off, meaning, to cancel or postpone an event. Example, due to bad weather, they had to call off the outdoor concert. Example, the company had to call off the meeting due to unforeseen circumstances. Cap off, meaning, to complete or finish something in a noteworthy way. Example, the team decided to cap off the successful project with a celebration. Example, the final performance really capped off the entire concert series. Carry off, meaning, to execute or achieve successfully. Example, she managed to carry off the challenging role in the play. Example, the team worked together to carry off a flawless event. Cart off. Meaning, to take away or remove forcefully. Example, the police had to cart off the protesters who were blocking the entrance. Example, the junkyard workers decided to cart off the old, unusable appliances. Cast off. Meaning, to let go or release something. Example, the ship cast off from the dock and set sail for the open sea. Example, it's time to cast off the negative mindset and embrace positive thinking. Chase off. Meaning, to drive away or force to leave. Example, the guard dog helped chase off the intruders from the property. Example, the loud noise managed to chase off the birds that were causing a disturbance. Check off. Meaning, to mark an item on a list as completed or verified. Example, as you complete each task, remember to check it off on the to-do list. Example, it's satisfying to check off the completed steps in a long project. Chew off. Meaning, to gnaw or bite something in order to remove it. Example, the dog tried to chew off the leash to escape from the yard. Example, she had to chew off the zip tie to open the package. Choke off. Meaning, to stop or restrict the flow or progress of something. Example, the excessive regulations threaten to choke off innovation in the industry. Example, the organization worked to choke off the spread of misinformation. Clean off. Meaning, to remove dirt or clutter from a surface. Example, before starting the project, make sure to clean off the workspace. Example, the rain helped clean off the dust from the car, making it look brand new. Clear off. Meaning, to remove or go away, especially from a surface. Example, the gardener decided to clear off the weeds from the flower bed. Example, the strong winds helped clear off the snow from the sidewalks. Close off. Meaning, to block or seal an entrance or passage. Example, the construction crew had to close off the road for repairs. Example, it's essential to close off the area during the hazardous materials cleanup. Come off. Meaning, to succeed or happen as planned. Example, the event didn't come off as expected due to unforeseen complications. Example, despite initial doubts, the project did come off successfully in the end. Come off it. Meaning, an expression indicating disbelief or rejection of a statement. Example, come off it? That story sounds too unbelievable to be true. Example, when he claimed to have seen a UFO, his friends told him to come off it. Cool off. Meaning, to become less angry or agitated. Example, give them some time to cool off before addressing the issue again. Example, the manager needed to cool off before discussing the conflict with the team. Cop off. Meaning, to successfully form a romantic or sexual relationship. Example, the party was the perfect opportunity to cop off with someone new. Example, despite his efforts, he couldn't cop off with anyone at the social event. Count off. Meaning, to assign a number to each member of a group in sequence. Example, during roll call, students were asked to count off to ensure everyone was present. Example, the coach instructed the players to count off for specific drills during practice. Cream off. Meaning, to take the best or most profitable part of something. Example, the manager tends to cream off the top performers for special projects. Example, in negotiations, both parties try to cream off the most favorable terms. Cross off. Meaning, to mark or eliminate from a list. Example, after completing each task, I cross it off the to-do list. Example, it's satisfying to cross off completed items and see progress. Cry off. Meaning, to cancel or withdraw from a commitment. Example, due to unforeseen circumstances, he had to cry off attending the event. Example, it's acceptable to cry off from social plans if something urgent comes up. Cut off. Meaning, to disconnect or isolate. Example, the storm caused power outages, cutting off electricity to the entire neighborhood. Example, in extreme cases, individuals may cut off toxic relationships for their well-being. Damp off. Meaning, to die or rot due to excess moisture, especially in plants. Example, overwatering can lead to seedlings damping off and failing to grow. Example, gardeners should be mindful of conditions that could cause plants to damp off. Dash off. Meaning, to leave quickly or do something in a hurry. Example, as soon as the meeting ended, he had to dash off to catch a flight. Example, I'll just dash off a quick email before heading out for the day. Die off. Meaning, to decline in numbers or become extinct. Example, species may die off if they are unable to adapt to changing environmental conditions. Example, the population of a particular bird species started to die off due to habitat loss. Doze off. Meaning, to fall asleep unintentionally, especially briefly. Example, after a long day, he started to doze off during the boring lecture. Example, the soothing music helped the baby doze off peacefully in the crib. Drift off. Meaning, to gradually fall asleep or become less attentive. Example, the soothing music helped her drift off into a peaceful sleep. Example, during long lectures, students may unintentionally drift off if not engaged. Drop off. Meaning, to deliver or leave someone or something at a particular location. Example, the courier will drop off the package at your doorstep later today. Example, parents often drop off their children at school before heading to work. Dry off. Meaning, to become dry or make something dry after being wet. Example, after a refreshing swim, it's time to dry off under the warm sun. Example, the dog shook vigorously to dry off after playing in the rain. Ease off. Meaning, to reduce or diminish in intensity, pressure, or speed. Example, after a busy period at work, the workload is expected to ease off. Example, when driving in heavy traffic, it's essential to ease off the accelerator to avoid accidents. Face off. Meaning, to confront or compete directly with someone or something. Example, in the final round, the two teams will face off to determine the champion. Example, the political candidates will face off in a televised debate before the election. Fall off. Meaning, to decrease in quantity, quality, or intensity. Example, sales tend to fall off during economic downturns as consumer spending decreases. Example, the interest in a trending topic may fall off once a new trend captures attention. Feed off. Meaning, to benefit or derive sustenance from something. Example, creativity often feeds off diverse experiences, inspiring fresh ideas and perspectives. Example, negative energy can feed off itself, creating a cycle of stress and discontent. Fence off. Meaning, to separate or cordon off an area using a fence. Example, construction sites typically fence off dangerous areas to ensure public safety. Example, temporary barriers were erected to fence off the damaged section of the building. Fend off. Meaning, to defend against or repel an attack or challenge. Example, the immune system works tirelessly to fend off viruses and infections. Example, athletes practice techniques to fend off opponents and protect their goal. Fight off. Meaning, to repel or defend against an attacker or threat. Example, the body's immune system works to fight off infections and maintain health. Example, it's important to get enough rest to help the body fight off fatigue and illness. Finish off. Meaning, to complete or consume the last portion of something. Example, she decided to finish off the remaining chapters of the book before bedtime. Example, after a satisfying meal, they shared a dessert to finish off their dinner. Fire off. Meaning, to quickly send or discharge something, such as an email or a series of shots. Example, the journalist decided to fire off a series of questions during the press conference. Example, in a heated debate, participants may fire off arguments rapidly to make their points. Flip off. Meaning, to turn off or deactivate by flipping a switch or control. Example, before leaving, remember to flip off the lights and other electronic devices. Example, the chef asked the assistant to flip off the oven once the dish was fully cooked. Flog off. Meaning, to sell or get rid of something, often at a discounted or reduced price. Example, retailers may decide to flog off old inventory during clearance sales. Example, to declutter their space, individuals might flog off items they no longer need. Flounce off. Meaning, to leave or exit abruptly, often with an air of annoyance or indignation. Example, after the argument, he decided to flounce off without further explanation. Example, it's essential to address conflicts calmly instead of flouncing off in frustration. Fob off. Meaning, to deceive or trick someone by giving false excuses or explanations. Example, dishonest sellers may try to fob off defective products as high-quality items. Example, it's crucial to be discerning and not let anyone fob you off with false promises. Fob off on. Meaning, to pass on or deceive someone by giving them something undesirable. Example, unscrupulous individuals may try to fob off defective goods onto unsuspecting customers. Example, it's essential to be cautious and not let others fob off on you substandard products. Fob off onto. Meaning, to deceive or transfer responsibility to someone else by giving them something undesirable. Example, companies should not attempt to fob off subpar products onto unsuspecting consumers. Example: ethical leaders take responsibility for their decisions and do not fob off problems onto their team. Fob off with. Meaning: to deceive or trick someone by giving them something of inferior quality. Example: consumers should be cautious and not let sellers fob them off with substandard merchandise. Example: it's crucial to verify information and not let anyone fob you off with false claims. Frighten off. Meaning: to scare or intimidate someone or something, causing them to retreat. Example: the barking dog succeeded in frightening off the intruder, protecting the property. Example: parents may use stories of mythical creatures to frighten off children from wandering into dangerous areas. Front off. Meaning: to confront or challenge someone directly. Example: instead of avoiding the issue, it's better to front off problems and address them head-on. Example: a responsible leader should be willing to front off difficult conversations for the sake of team cohesion. Get it off. Meaning: to remove or take off clothing or an item. Example: after a long day, many individuals look forward to getting it off and changing into comfortable clothes. Example: the athlete had to get it off quickly to put on the team uniform before the game. Get it off with. Meaning: to remove or take off clothing or an item, often in a specific manner. Example: fashion models have quick changes backstage, needing to get it off with precision and speed. Example: in theater productions, actors practice getting it off with seamless costume changes during performances. Get off. Meaning: to disembark or exit from a vehicle or mode of transportation. Example: passengers were eager to get off the plane after a long flight. Example: train stations typically have designated platforms for passengers to get off safely. Get off it. Meaning: to stop talking about or focusing on a specific topic. Example: during the meeting, the team decided to get off it and shift the discussion to more productive matters. Example: friends may encourage each other to get off it and move past unproductive conversations or arguments. Get off on. Meaning: to experience pleasure or excitement from something. Example: some individuals get off on adrenaline-pumping activities like extreme sports. Example: music enthusiasts may get off on attending live concerts and experiencing the energy of the performers. Get off with. Meaning: to avoid punishment or consequences for wrongdoing. Example: it's essential for justice systems to ensure that individuals do not get off with lenient penalties for serious offenses. Example, in some cases, individuals may try to get off with excuses rather than taking responsibility for their actions. Get off. Meaning, to command someone to leave or stop doing something. Example, if a situation becomes tense, a firm get off may be necessary to de-escalate conflicts. Example, parents may use a stern get off when children are misbehaving or playing inappropriately. Give off. Meaning, to emit or produce a scent, heat, sound, or similar. Example, flowers in bloom give off a pleasant fragrance that adds to the ambience of the garden. Example, appliances that are overheating may give off an unusual smell, indicating a potential issue. Go off. Meaning, to produce a sound or alarm, often abruptly. Example, fire alarms go off to alert occupants in case of emergencies such as fires or smoke. Example, when cooking, timers can be set to go off, indicating that the food is ready. Go off with. Meaning, to leave with someone or something, often unexpectedly. Example, in movies, characters may go off with mysterious strangers, leading to suspenseful plot twists. Example, friends may decide to go off with each other to explore new places or attend events together. Goof off. Meaning, to waste time or avoid responsibilities in a relaxed or playful manner. Example, on Fridays, employees may goof off a bit as they unwind from a busy work week. Example, during the summer vacation, students tend to goof off and enjoy leisure activities with friends. Hack off. Meaning, to annoy or irritate. Example, constant interruptions during work can hack off employees, impacting their productivity and focus. Example, unfair treatment may hack off individuals, leading to dissatisfaction and a decline in morale. Have it off. Meaning, similar to have it away, to engage in sexual activity. Example, comprehensive sex education programs aim to provide information about consent and communication when individuals have it off. Example, open communication between partners is essential to ensure a comfortable and consensual experience when they choose to have it off. Have off. Meaning, to take a day off from work or specific duties. Example, employees may have off on holidays to celebrate special occasions with family and friends. Example, it's essential to communicate with supervisors when individuals need to have off due to personal or health-related reasons. Head off. Meaning, to intercept or prevent something from happening. Example, effective communication can help head off misunderstandings before they escalate into conflicts. Example, proactive measures, such as regular maintenance, can help head off potential issues with machinery and equipment. Hit it off. Meaning, to quickly form a positive and friendly connection with someone. Example, when meeting new people, individuals occasionally hit it off instantly, finding common interests and shared humor. Example, successful collaborations often begin when team members hit it off and establish effective communication and rapport. Hit it off with. Meaning, similar to hit it off, to form a positive and friendly connection with someone. Example, networking events provide opportunities for professionals to hit it off with potential colleagues or business partners. Example, it's rewarding when individuals hit it off with mentors or advisors who can provide valuable guidance and support. Hive off. Meaning, to separate or allocate a portion of a business or entity into a distinct unit. Example, companies may hive off non-core assets to focus on core business operations and improve overall efficiency. Example, entrepreneurs may decide to hive off specific business functions to create specialized entities that cater to unique market segments. Hold off. Meaning, to delay or postpone action or decision. Example, companies may decide to hold off on product launches until market conditions are more favorable. Example, when facing challenges, it's essential to hold off on making impulsive decisions and carefully consider available options. Jerk off. Meaning, to waste time or procrastinate, often in a careless or unproductive manner. Example, students should prioritize their studies and avoid jerking off when approaching deadlines for assignments and exams. Example, in the workplace, employees should focus on completing tasks efficiently and not jerk off during work hours. Jump off. Meaning, to begin or initiate a particular activity or event. Example, concerts often feature an opening act to jump off the excitement and set the tone for the main performances. Example, successful projects require a well-organized plan to jump off the implementation phase smoothly and efficiently. Keep off. Meaning, to abstain or refrain from using or touching something. Example, gardeners use deterrents to keep off pests and protect plants from potential damage. Example, individuals on specific diets must be mindful to keep off foods that are restricted or harmful to their health. Kick off. Meaning, to start or initiate an event, activity, or process. Example, the opening ceremony will kick off the international sports tournament, marking the beginning of exciting competitions. Example, the company's annual conference will kick off with a keynote address, setting the tone for discussions and presentations. Kill off. Meaning, to eliminate or eradicate, to cause the extinction or termination of something. Example, the use of antibiotics help to kill off the infection, allowing the patient to recover and regain health. Example, environmental changes can pose threats to certain species and may contribute to efforts to kill off entire populations. Kiss off. Meaning, to dismiss or reject someone or something, to end a relationship or association abruptly. Example, employees who consistently violate company policies may receive a warning before facing the possibility of being kissed off by the organization. Example, the decision to kiss off a business partnership is not taken lightly, requiring careful consideration of potential consequences. Knock it off. Meaning, an informal expression used to instruct someone to stop doing something, often annoying or disruptive. Example, siblings may playfully tell each other to knock it off when engaging in teasing or irritating behavior. Example, in a classroom setting, a teacher may use the phrase knock it off to maintain order and discourage disruptive actions. Knock off. Meaning, to stop working, to finish a task or work for the day. Example, the manufacturing plant will knock off production at 5 p.m., allowing workers to go home and rest. Example, freelancers often have flexible schedules, allowing them to knock off work at different times based on project deadlines. Laugh off. Meaning, to dismiss or minimize something with laughter, to not take something seriously. Example, in the face of a minor mishap, some individuals choose to laugh it off, maintaining a positive and light-hearted attitude. Example, friends may laugh off embarrassing moments, turning them into humorous anecdotes that strengthen their bond. Lay off. Meaning, to terminate someone's employment, to make someone redundant. Example, during economic downturns, companies may lay off employees as part of cost-cutting measures, leading to workforce reductions. Example, the decision to lay off workers is often a difficult one for employers, impacting individuals and their livelihoods. Leap off. Meaning, similar to leap at, to enthusiastically embrace or engage in an opportunity. Example, art enthusiasts may leap off their seats to explore a gallery showcasing new and thought-provoking exhibits. Example, the chance to collaborate with talented professionals may cause creatives to leap off their comfort zones and embark on exciting projects. Let off. Meaning, to release or emit, often referring to a substance, sound, or odor. Example, fireworks let off colorful sparks, creating a dazzling display in the night sky during celebrations. Example, the machine let off a warning beep, indicating a potential issue that required immediate attention. Level off. Meaning, to stabilize or reach a consistent level after fluctuation. Example, after a period of rapid growth, the stock market may level off, reflecting a more balanced state of supply and demand. Example, the aircraft started to level off as it approached the designated cruising altitude, creating a smoother flying experience for passengers. Lift off. Meaning, to rise or take flight, especially referring to aircraft or spacecraft. Example, the space shuttle's liftoff was a breathtaking moment, symbolizing the start of a space exploration mission. Example, hot air balloons lift off gracefully, offering passengers a unique and serene perspective of the landscape below. Live off. Meaning, to rely on a particular source for sustenance or support. Example, college students may live off a budget, managing their expenses with limited resources during their academic years. Example, some authors aspire to live off the royalties from their books, allowing them financial freedom to focus on writing. Log off. Meaning, to exit or sign out of a computer system or online platform. Example, it's essential to log off from shared computers to protect personal information and maintain privacy. Example, after finishing work on the shared document, team members should remember to log off to avoid accidental edits. Make off. Meaning, to leave hurriedly or escape, especially in a stealthy manner. Example, witnessing the approaching danger, the fugitive decided to make off into the dense forest to avoid capture. Example, during the chaos, opportunistic thieves took advantage of the distraction to make off with valuable items from the store. Make off with. Meaning, similar to make away with, to steal or take something, often with the intention of escaping. Example, the burglars managed to make off with a large sum of cash and valuable items before law enforcement arrived. Example, the cunning art thief successfully made off with a priceless painting, leaving authorities baffled. Mark off. Meaning, to indicate or highlight a specific area by using marks or boundaries. Example, the surveyors used stakes to mark off the construction site, ensuring accuracy and adherence to the planned layout. Example, please use caution and obey the marked off areas to ensure safety during the renovation work. Measure off. Meaning, to mark or indicate specific measurements by using a measuring tool. Example, before cutting the fabric, the tailor carefully measured off the required length for the custom-made garment. Example, the construction team measured off the plot of land to plan the layout of the building and allocate space for various features. Magi off. Meaning, to leave or depart, especially quickly or surreptitiously. Example, after realizing they were running late, the group decided to magi off without saying proper goodbyes. Example, feeling overwhelmed at the party, she chose to magi off early to avoid the crowded atmosphere. Mouth off. Meaning, to speak loudly, arrogantly, or disrespectfully, to express strong opinions or complaints. Example, he tends to mouth off during meetings, making it challenging for others to share their perspectives and ideas. Example, it's essential to think before you mouth off, especially in professional settings, to maintain a respectful and collaborative environment. Naff off. Meaning, an informal expression to tell someone to go away or leave. Example, when frustrated with interruptions, one might say, just naff off and let me finish my work in peace. Example, after a heated argument, she told her friend to naff off until they both had time to cool down and reflect. Nip off. Meaning, to leave or depart quickly, often for a short period. Example, before the meeting, he decided to nip off to grab a cup of coffee to stay alert and focused. Example, if you need to nip off for a moment, please feel free to do so, and we'll continue the discussion when you return. Nod off. Meaning, to unintentionally fall asleep, especially briefly and unexpectedly. Example, after a long day of work, he started to nod off during the boring presentation. Example, the warm and comfortable atmosphere in the library made it easy for students to nod off while studying. Pair off. Meaning, to form pairs or couples, to separate or group into pairs. Example, during the dance class, participants were instructed to pair off and practice specific dance moves together. Example, the students decided to pair off for the group project, each contributing their unique skills and strengths to the collaboration. Pair off with. Meaning, to form a pair or couple with a specific person. Example, at the social event, she decided to pair off with her close friend for the dance competition, showcasing their synchronized moves. Example, during the team building activity, participants were encouraged to pair off with colleagues they hadn't worked closely with before. Palm off. Meaning, to deceive or trick someone into accepting something inferior or unwanted. Example, some sellers attempt to palm off counterfeit products as genuine, taking advantage of unsuspecting buyers. Example, it's crucial to be cautious when making purchases online to avoid being palmed off with low quality or fraudulent items. Pass off. Meaning, to present or offer something as genuine or valid, often with the intention to deceive. Example, some individuals try to pass off fake credentials during job applications, risking the discovery of their dishonesty. Example, the scam artist attempted to pass off counterfeit goods as authentic products, deceiving unsuspecting customers. Pay off. Meaning, to yield positive results or success, often after effort or investment. Example, the entrepreneur's hard work and dedication finally paid off when the business became profitable and gained widespread recognition. Example, investing in education can pay off in the long run, opening doors to better career opportunities and personal growth. Peel off. Meaning, to remove or separate by peeling, often applied to a sticker, label, or layer. Example, the sunburned skin began to peel off, revealing the healthier skin underneath. Example, it took some effort, but she managed to peel off the old wallpaper in preparation for a fresh coat of paint. Peel off from. Meaning, similar to peel off, to separate or detach from something by peeling. Example, the spacecraft successfully detached and began to peel off from the main module as it entered the atmosphere. Example, it's important to wait until the adhesive is fully dry before attempting to peel off the protective film from the newly installed device. Pick off. Meaning, to remove individual items or members from a group or collection. Example, the curator carefully picked off dust particles from the ancient artifacts using a soft brush. Example, the manager decided to pick off non-essential tasks from the to-do list, focusing on priorities for the day. Pig off. Meaning, to eat greedily or voraciously, often applied to consuming large quantities of food. Example, during the picnic, the children decided to pig off the delicious assortment of snacks and treats. Example, after a week of healthy eating, she allowed herself to pig off on her favorite comfort foods as a well-deserved treat. Play off. Meaning, in sports, to compete against an opponent in a playoff or elimination round. Example, the basketball teams were eager to play off for the championship title, showcasing their skills in intense and high-stakes matches. Example, in the world of competitive chess, grandmasters often play off against each other in thrilling matches that captivate audiences worldwide. Polish off. Meaning, to finish or consume something quickly and completely. Example, despite its large size, the competitive eater managed to polish off the entire pizza within a remarkably short time. Example, as the dessert was too tempting to resist, she decided to polish off the decadent chocolate cake, savoring each bite. Pop off. meaning, to die suddenly or unexpectedly. Example, the old clock finally gave in to years of wear and tear, causing its mechanism to pop off with a small clatter. Example, while the character was a fan favorite, the author chose to make them pop off in a surprising plot twist that left readers in shock. Power off, meaning, similar to power down, to shut off or turn off a device, machine, or system. Example, during flights, passengers are reminded to power off electronic devices before takeoff to comply with aviation safety regulations. Example, before attempting any repairs or adjustments, it's crucial to power off the equipment to avoid electrical hazards and ensure safe handling. Pull off, meaning, to successfully accomplish or achieve something, often with skill or precision. Example, the ambitious plan seemed challenging, but the team managed to pull off a flawless execution, impressing both clients and colleagues. Example, pulling off a surprise party requires careful planning and coordination to maintain secrecy until the big reveal. Put off, meaning, to delay or postpone an event, task, or decision. Example, due to unforeseen circumstances, the company chose to put off the product launch until the issues could be adequately addressed. Example, individuals sometimes put off important tasks, only to realize later that procrastination led to additional stress and complications. Race off, meaning, to depart or leave quickly, often in a rush or hurried manner. Example, as soon as the meeting concluded, participants began to race off to their respective offices to implement the discussed strategies. Example, when the alarm sounded, everyone raced off to the emergency exits as part of the fire drill. Rack off, meaning, to leave or go away, often used as a dismissive or rude way of telling someone to leave. Example, annoyed by the constant interruptions, she finally told the persistent salesperson to rack off and leave her alone. Example, if someone is bothering you at a party, a simple rack off might be a straightforward way to convey your desire for space. Rain off, meaning, to cancel or postpone an event due to rain or inclement weather. Example, the outdoor concert had to be rained off as heavy showers continued throughout the scheduled time. Example, despite the initial excitement, the beach picnic was rained off, forcing participants to make alternative plans indoors. Rake off, meaning, to take a share or portion of something, often profits, or money. Example, some unscrupulous individuals attempt to rake off funds from charitable donations meant for those in need. Example, in business partnerships, it's important to establish clear agreements on how profits will be shared to avoid conflicts over raking off revenues. Rattle off. Meaning, to speak quickly and fluently, often when reciting information or a list. Example, the expert was able to rattle off statistics and data points effortlessly during the presentation. Example, during the trivia competition, she impressively rattled off answers to a variety of questions across different categories. Read off. Meaning, to recite or announce information, often from a written source. Example, the game show host asked the contestant to read off the correct answer from the provided options. Example, during the ceremony, the speaker had to read off the names of the award recipients, ensuring each individual received recognition. Reel off. Meaning, to recite or state quickly and easily, often a list or series of items. Example, during the presentation, the expert was able to reel off statistics and data points without hesitation. Example, the quiz show contestant impressively reeled off correct answers to a variety of challenging questions. Ride off. Meaning, to depart or leave by riding, often on a vehicle or horse. Example, after saying their goodbyes, the newlyweds rode off into the sunset for their honeymoon adventure. Example, the cowboy decided to ride off into the vast wilderness, seeking solitude and reflection on horseback. Ring off. Meaning, to end a phone call by hanging up. Example, after a brief conversation, he politely rang off, expressing his intention to call back later for further discussion. Example, it's considered impolite to abruptly ring off without providing a courteous explanation, especially in professional or personal conversations. Rip off. Meaning, to overcharge or charge excessively for a product or service. Example, consumers should be cautious of scams that attempt to rip them off by offering products at inflated prices without delivering the promised quality. Example, some dishonest sellers may attempt to rip off unsuspecting customers by providing counterfeit or substandard goods. Rope off. Meaning, to cordon off or restrict access to a particular area using a rope or barrier. Example, the construction site was roped off to ensure the safety of passers-by and to prevent unauthorized entry. Example, during the event, organizers had to rope off VIP sections to maintain order and provide a special experience for distinguished guests. Round off. Meaning, to complete or finish something in a smooth and satisfying way. Example, the team decided to round off the project with a comprehensive presentation, summarizing achievements and lessons learned. Example, a perfect way to round off a delicious meal is with a delightful dessert that satisfies the sweet tooth. Run off. Meaning, to print or produce copies of a document or material. Example, the office manager requested the team to run off additional copies of the report for distribution at the upcoming meeting. Example, before the presentation, speakers may run off multiple handouts to ensure that audience members have access to key information. Rush off. Meaning, to leave hurriedly or abruptly, often due to time constraints or urgent matters. Example, after the meeting, she had to rush off to catch a flight, expressing apologies for not being able to stay longer. Example, parents may need to rush off from work to attend school events or address unexpected family matters. Sag off. Meaning, to skip or intentionally avoid attending school or work without permission. Example, the mischievous students decided to sag off classes and spend the day exploring the city instead. Example, employees should be responsible and avoid sagging off work commitments, ensuring productivity and maintaining professional integrity. Saw off. Meaning, to cut or remove something using a saw, often referring to a physical object. Example, the carpenter needed to saw off a portion of the wooden beam to achieve the desired length for the construction project. Example, when renovating old furniture, individuals may choose to saw off damaged or unnecessary parts for a fresh look. Scare off. Meaning, similar to scare away, referring to frightening or repelling someone or something. Example, the presence of a large predator can scare off smaller animals, disrupting the natural balance of the ecosystem. Example, in relationships, trust can be easily eroded if individuals use manipulative tactics that scare off their partners. Screen off. Meaning, to create a barrier or partition using a screen, often for privacy or separation. Example, in open concept offices, employees may use dividers to screen off their workstations and minimize distractions. Example, when hosting outdoor events, organizers may use decorative screens to screen off certain areas and create distinct zones for different activities. See off. Meaning, to accompany someone to their departure point, such as an airport or train station. Example, friends and family gathered to see off the traveler, wishing them a safe journey and memorable experiences abroad. Example, colleagues organized a farewell party to see off the retiring employee, expressing gratitude for their contributions to the team. Sell off. Meaning, to dispose of or liquidate assets, products, or holdings, often quickly and at a reduced price. Example, during a clearance sale, retailers may choose to sell off excess inventory to make room for new arrivals and attract bargain-seeking customers. Example, in financial markets, investors may sell off certain stocks in response to changing economic conditions or company performance. Send off. Meaning, to dispatch or mail something, often to a distant location. Example, families may gather to send off a loved one embarking on a journey, expressing well wishes and bidding farewell. Example, when applying for university admission, students need to prepare and send off their applications well before the application deadlines. Send off for. Meaning, to order or request something by mail or online, often through a catalog or website. Example, enthusiasts of vintage collectibles may choose to send off for rare items advertised in specialized catalogs to add to their collections. Example, individuals interested in home improvement projects may send off for product samples to assess quality and suitability before making purchases. Set off. Meaning, to trigger or cause a reaction or series of events. Example, the unexpected announcement set off a wave of excitement and anticipation among the audience gathered for the product launch. Example, a single spark can set off a chain reaction, leading to a significant transformation in various aspects of life. Shake off. Meaning, to rid oneself of something unwanted, such as an illness, negative emotions, or a pursuer. Example, after days of rest and medication, he was able to shake off the flu and resume his normal activities with renewed energy. Example, athletes often engage in stretching exercises to help shake off muscle stiffness and enhance flexibility before competitions. Shave off. Meaning, to remove facial hair or hair from a particular area using a razor or shaving tool. Example, before an important event, he would carefully shave off his beard and groom his facial hair for a clean and polished appearance. Example, some athletes shave off body hair to reduce drag and enhance performance in sports such as swimming or cycling. Ship off. Meaning, to send or dispatch someone or something to a different location, often for a specific purpose. Example, the company decided to ship off the defective products to a specialized facility for repairs and quality checks. Example, military families may experience emotional farewells when it's time to ship off loved ones who are deployed to different locations for service. Shoot off. Meaning, to depart quickly or suddenly, often referring to the start of a race or competition. Example, as soon as the signal was given, the runners shot off from the starting line, eager to showcase their speed and endurance. Example, the rocket shot off into the sky, leaving a trail of sparks and smoke as it embarked on its mission. Show off. Meaning, to display one's abilities, possessions, or achievements with the intention of impressing others. Example, during the talent show, participants had the opportunity to show off their singing, dancing, and artistic talents to a supportive audience. Example: some individuals may feel the need to show off their wealth by flaunting expensive cars, designer clothing, or luxurious possessions. Shrug off. Meaning, to dismiss or disregard something as unimportant or inconsequential. Example: some individuals may choose to shrug off criticism and negative comments, focusing on their goals and maintaining a positive mindset. Example: despite facing setbacks, successful entrepreneurs often learn to shrug off failures and use them as opportunities for growth and learning. Shut off. Meaning, to stop the flow of a liquid, gas, or electrical supply. Example: before performing maintenance, it's essential to shut off the water supply to prevent leaks or accidents. Example: in case of a gas leak, residents are advised to shut off the gas valve immediately and seek professional assistance to address the issue. Sign off. Meaning, to formally conclude or approve something, often by providing one's signature or authorization. Example: the manager decided to sign off on the project proposal after reviewing its details and ensuring alignment with the company's goals. Example: journalists may not publish an article until their editor has had the opportunity to read, review, and sign off on its content. Sign off on. Meaning, to formally approve or endorse a document, decision, or action by providing one's signature. Example: before implementing changes to company policies, executives must sign off on the proposed revisions, ensuring alignment with organizational objectives. Example: the legal team is responsible for ensuring that contracts are properly drafted and that clients understand and sign off on the terms before finalizing agreements. Skive off. Meaning, to avoid work or responsibilities by staying away or pretending to be ill. Example: students may attempt to skive off school by feigning illness or providing creative excuses to avoid attending classes. Example: employees who consistently skive off work risk damaging their professional reputation and jeopardizing their career advancement. Slack off. Meaning, to decrease effort or productivity, often resulting in a decline in performance. Example: during the summer months, employees may be tempted to slack off, impacting overall productivity in the workplace. Example: athletes are advised not to slack off on their training regimen during off-seasons, as consistent effort is crucial for maintaining peak performance. Slacken off. Meaning, to gradually decrease in intensity, speed, or effort. Example: as the storm moved away, the wind began to slacken off, bringing relief to the affected areas. Example: it's common for individuals to slacken off in their exercise routine during busy periods, but consistency is essential for long-term fitness goals. Slag off. Meaning, to criticize or speak negatively about someone or something. Example, engaging in office gossip and constantly slagging off colleagues can create a toxic work environment. Example, it's important to provide constructive feedback rather than simply slagging off someone's efforts, fostering a culture of growth and improvement. Sleep off. Meaning, to sleep in order to recover from the effects of fatigue, intoxication, or illness. Example, after a night of celebrating, it's advisable to sleep off the effects of alcohol to ensure a safe and sober state before engaging in any activities. Example, when feeling unwell, individuals may choose to sleep off the symptoms, allowing the body time to recover and heal. Slice off. Meaning, to cut a thin piece or portion from the whole, often using a knife or slicer. Example, the chef skillfully sliced off a portion of the roast, presenting it on the plate with precision and attention to detail. Example, when preparing a sandwich, it's common to slice off thin layers of meat, cheese, and vegetables for even distribution and flavor. Slip off. Meaning, to remove or take off something smoothly and easily. Example, after a long day, it's a relief to slip off tight shoes and enjoy the comfort of slippers or bare feet at home. Example, when participating in water activities, it's important to securely fasten items to prevent them from slipping off and getting lost. Slip off to. Meaning, to leave quietly and go to a place without attracting attention. Example, after the meeting, he decided to slip off to the nearby coffee shop for a moment of relaxation and a cup of coffee. Example, during a social gathering, some guests may slip off to a quieter area for more intimate conversations away from the crowd. Slope off. Meaning, to leave or depart quietly and without attracting attention. Example, employees who slope off work early without notifying their supervisors risk disciplinary action and damage to their professional reputation. Example, during a long meeting, some participants may attempt to slope off during breaks to avoid prolonged discussions or presentations. Slough off. Meaning, to shed or remove something, often referring to dead skin, feathers, or outer layers. Example, snakes slough off their old skin periodically as they grow, revealing a shiny new layer underneath. Example, after spending time outdoors, individuals may slough off dirt and debris by shaking out their clothes before entering their homes. Snap off. Meaning, to break off or detach abruptly. Example, in a moment of frustration, he accidentally snapped off the key in the lock, requiring professional assistance to repair the damage. Example, strong winds during the storm caused tree branches to snap off, resulting in scattered debris across the neighborhood. Sound off. Meaning, to express one's opinions, thoughts, or grievances loudly and assertively. Example, during the town hall meeting, residents were given an opportunity to sound off on community issues, contributing valuable insights and concerns. Example, online forums provide platforms for users to sound off on various topics, sharing their perspectives and engaging in discussions with a broader audience. Spark off. Meaning, to trigger or initiate something, often a reaction, discussion, or event. Example, the controversial decision by the government sparked off widespread protests, leading to public outcry and demands for reconsideration. Example, sometimes, a small idea or innovation can spark off a chain of creativity, inspiring others to contribute and build upon the initial concept. Spin off. Meaning, to create or derive something new from an existing entity, often referring to a separate company or product. Example, the successful TV series led to the creation of a spin-off, focusing on a specific character's storyline. Example, technological advancements in space exploration have the potential to spin off innovations that benefit various industries on Earth. Spirit off. Meaning, to take away or remove in a mysterious or secretive manner. Example, in ancient legends, ghosts were believed to spirit off the souls of those who wandered into haunted places. Example, the illusionist amazed the audience by seemingly spiriting off a person from the stage and making them reappear elsewhere. Sponge off. Meaning, to take advantage of someone or exploit their generosity, often in a financial sense. Example, scammers may attempt to sponge off unsuspecting individuals by posing as charities and soliciting donations for non-existent causes. Example, it's important to set boundaries and avoid individuals who consistently try to sponge off your resources without contributing in return. Square off. Meaning, to face or confront someone in a direct and often competitive manner. Example, in the final match, the two rivals squared off, each determined to claim the championship title. Example, when disagreements arise, it's essential to address them calmly and respectfully rather than square off in a confrontational manner. Square off against. Meaning, to confront or compete directly against an opponent or challenge. Example, the chess grandmaster was set to square off against the reigning champion in a highly anticipated match. Example, in sports, teams often square off against fierce competitors, creating thrilling moments for fans around the world. Start off. Meaning, to begin or initiate something. Example, the professor decided to start off the lecture with an intriguing question to engage the students' interest. Example, before embarking on a long journey, it's essential to start off with a full tank of gas to avoid unnecessary stops. Start off on. Meaning, to embark on a particular course or path from the beginning. Example, as a young entrepreneur, she wanted to start off on the right foot by thoroughly researching her business idea before launching. Example, the hiking trail starts off on a gentle incline, gradually becoming steeper as it progresses. Stave off. Meaning, to prevent or ward off something undesirable or threatening. Example, regular exercise and a healthy diet can help stave off many health issues and promote overall well-being. Example, the medical team worked diligently to stave off the spread of the infectious disease within the community. Stomp off. Meaning, to walk away angrily or with heavy steps, often expressing frustration or displeasure. Example, after the argument, she decided to stomp off, needing some time alone to cool down and collect her thoughts. Example, children may stomp off when upset, expressing their emotions through physical gestures. Stop off. Meaning, to take a brief break or detour during a journey. Example, the road trip included plans to stop off at a scenic viewpoint, allowing travelers to stretch their legs and capture breathtaking views. Example, when flying internationally, some passengers opt to stop off in layover cities, exploring additional destinations before reaching their final stop. Storm off. Meaning, to leave a place abruptly and angrily, often during a disagreement. Example, frustrated with the lack of progress, she chose to storm off from the meeting, expressing her dissatisfaction with the team's approach. Example, in a dramatic scene, a character may storm off after a heated argument, leaving others in shock and uncertainty. Strike off. Meaning, to remove or cancel something from a list, record, or membership. Example, due to professional misconduct, the licensing board decided to strike the doctor off the medical register. Example, if a student consistently violates academic integrity, the university may choose to strike them off the enrollment list. Swan off. Meaning, similar to swan around, indicating a graceful or leisurely departure. Example, after the performance, the actor decided to swan off the stage, leaving the audience with a lasting impression of their talent. Example, in social gatherings, individuals may swan off from conversations to explore other areas or engage with different groups. Siphon off. Meaning, to divert or transfer something, especially funds or resources, for personal use. Example, unethical practices may involve attempts to siphon off company funds, compromising the financial stability of the organization. Example, governments and organizations. Siphon off. Meaning, to divert or transfer, often illegally, funds or resources for personal use. Example, the corrupt official was caught attempting to siphon off public funds for personal gain, leading to legal consequences. Example, cybercriminals may use sophisticated methods to siphon off sensitive information from unsuspecting individuals. Tail off. Meaning, similar to tail away, indicating a gradual reduction or diminishment. Example, the intensity of the storm began to tail off, and the rain transformed into a gentle drizzle. Example, interest in the new product started to tail off after the initial excitement, prompting the marketing team to explore new strategies. Take off. Meaning, to ascend or become airborne, also used to describe sudden success or popularity. Example, the airplane began to take off, gradually lifting into the sky for its scheduled flight. Example, the new product seemed to take off in the market, gaining widespread popularity among consumers. Tap off with. Meaning, to end or conclude an activity with a specified action. Example, the concert concluded by tapping off with a spectacular fireworks display that lit up the night sky. Example, the team celebrated their victory by tapping off with a team-building event to strengthen camaraderie. Tear off. Meaning, to remove a part by tearing along a perforated line or edge. Example, the coupon was easy to tear off, allowing customers to redeem discounts at the checkout counter. Example, students received handouts with tear-off sections for submitting feedback or contacting the instructor. Tee off. Meaning, to start or commence an activity, often used in golf to begin a round by hitting the first shot from the tee. Example, the event will tee off with an opening ceremony, showcasing the talents and achievements of participants. Example, in golf, players take turns teeing off, initiating the game with their first shots from the designated tee area. Tee off on. Meaning, to criticize or attack someone or something vehemently. Example, the journalist decided to tee off on the controversial policy, providing a scathing critique in the editorial. Example, political debates often involve candidates teeing off on each other's stances, aiming to persuade voters. Tell off. Meaning, to reprimand or scold someone sternly. Example, the coach had to tell off the players for violating team rules and jeopardizing the overall morale. Example, in the workplace, it's crucial for managers to address performance issues promptly and tell off employees when necessary. Throw off. Meaning, to remove or shake off something. Example, after the rain stopped, he tried to throw off the dampness by standing in the sun for a while. Example, to enhance security, the spy attempted to throw off anyone tailing him by taking a series of unpredictable routes. Tick off. Meaning, to mark items on a list, typically as completed or checked. Example, as she completed each task, she would tick them off on her to-do list to stay organized and focused. Example, it's satisfying to tick off completed goals, providing a sense of accomplishment and progress. Tip off. Meaning, to provide a hint or information about something, often confidential. Example, the anonymous tip-off led investigators to uncover a hidden operation that had been ongoing for years. Example, journalists sometimes rely on anonymous sources to tip them off about potential news stories or scandals. Toddle off. Meaning, to walk or move in a slow and unsteady manner, especially by a young child. Example, after playing in the park, the tired toddler began to toddle off toward the picnic blanket where the family was sitting. Example, the elderly cat, feeling a bit sluggish, decided to toddle off to a cozy corner for a peaceful nap. Tootle off. Meaning, to leave or depart in a casual or unhurried manner. Example, after finishing their meal, they decided to tootle off and explore the charming streets of the small town. Example, feeling tired, he chose to tootle off early from the party and head home for a quiet night. Top off. Meaning, to complete or finish by adding a final element. Example, the chef decided to top off the dessert with a drizzle of caramel sauce for an extra layer of sweetness. Example, the successful project was topped off with a celebratory team dinner to acknowledge everyone's hard work. Toss off. Meaning, to create or produce something quickly and with little effort. Example, known for his artistic talent, he could effortlessly toss off sketches that captivated those around him. Example, she was able to toss off a brilliant essay in a short amount of time, showcasing her writing skills. Touch off. Meaning, to trigger or initiate a reaction or series of events. Example, the controversial decision by the government touched off protests and demonstrations across the country. Example, a small spark accidentally touching off dry grass led to a wildfire that quickly spread in the forest. Trade off. Meaning, to exchange or sacrifice one thing for another, especially in negotiations. Example, in business negotiations, both parties must be willing to trade off certain terms to reach a mutually beneficial agreement. Example, when making career decisions, individuals often need to trade off factors like salary, work-life balance, and job satisfaction. Trot off. Meaning, to depart or move quickly and energetically. Example, excited about the upcoming event, they decided to trot off to ensure they arrived early and secured good seats. Example, after the meeting, she needed to trot off to catch her flight and reach the next business destination. Trot off to. Meaning, to depart or move quickly and energetically to a specific destination. Example, excited about the summer festival, they decided to trot off to the event grounds early in the morning. Example, despite the rain, the dedicated fans were determined to trot off to the concert venue to catch their favorite band. Turn off. Meaning, to switch off or deactivate a device or light. Example, before leaving the room, she remembered to turn off the lights to conserve energy and reduce electricity consumption. Example, drivers are encouraged to turn off their engines when parked to minimize air pollution and fuel consumption. Walk off. Meaning, to alleviate or lessen the effects of something, often through physical activity. Example, after indulging in a large meal, he decided to walk off the excess calories by taking a long stroll in the park. Example, when feeling overwhelmed by stress, some people find it helpful to walk off their tension with a brisk walk. Walk off with. Meaning, to take something away, often without permission or through deceit. Example, the mischievous squirrel managed to walk off with several nuts from the picnic area, leaving the visitors amused at its antics. Example, in the chaotic scene, a stranger tried to walk off with her backpack, but she quickly noticed and prevented the theft. Wander off. Meaning, to stray or deviate from a path or course, often unintentionally. Example, exploring the vast wilderness, the hiker warned the group not to wander off the trail to avoid getting lost. Example, during the outdoor event, the children were instructed not to wander off without notifying the chaperones. Wave off. Meaning, to dismiss or reject an idea, suggestion, or person with a wave of the hand or a verbal expression. Example, the teacher had to wave off the student's excuse for not completing the assignment, emphasizing the importance of responsibility. Example, despite the team's efforts to present a compelling proposal, the manager chose to wave off their suggestions without thorough consideration. Wean off. Meaning, to gradually withdraw someone or something from a dependency or habit. Example, the doctor recommended a plan to wean the patient off strong pain medication to minimize the risk of addiction. Example: parents often face challenges when trying to wean their toddlers off pacifiers or thumb-sucking habits. Wear off. Meaning, to gradually diminish or disappear, often in reference to the effects of a substance or the passage of time. Example: the effects of the pain reliever started to wear off, and the patient needed another dose for continued relief. Example: over the course of the day, the initial excitement about the news began to wear off, leaving a more measured response. Work off. Meaning, to eliminate or burn calories through physical activity. Example: after indulging in a hearty meal, she decided to work off the excess calories with a long jog in the park. Example: regular exercise is essential to work off stress and maintain overall well-being. Write off. Meaning, to consider something as a loss, usually in financial terms. Example: after attempts to repair the old car proved unsuccessful, the owner decided to write it off and invest in a new vehicle. Example: in business, companies may write off certain debts as uncollectible when it becomes evident that they won't be recovered. Zoom off. Meaning, to depart or move quickly, often with a sense of acceleration. Example: the car enthusiast revved up the engine and zoomed off, leaving a trail of dust behind. Example: as the spaceship prepared for liftoff, it started to zoom off into the vastness of outer space.